A very common question that I get is about overthinking, ruminating mind, which creates problem. And the question is that how do I stop this thinking, because it's creating so much problem. It's not letting me sleep. It's not letting me be productive. It's not letting me live my life comfortably. So there's one thing to understand here, which is often ignored. First is that the moment we try to examine, why am I so restless? Why am I overthinking so much? The immediate answer and remedies that come to us is sit in meditation. Learn to quieten the mind through sitting quietly, through meditating, through using practices like japa, kriya. And those are all beautiful practices, and they do help a lot. But you see, the overthinking never goes away totally. It doesn't subside. It subsides in the moment when you are doing all these activities like meditation or yoga or japa. But the moment you are up and about your daily living, daily life, when you're interacting with people, when you are encountering challenging situations, this overthinking again starts happening. The mind again becomes restless. Again, we experience sleepless nights. We are in this anxiousness totally. So, why is this happening? And what can I do about it? Do I accept this as my fate and say that, okay, if it comes, I'm just going to do something and I'm going to push it away? And then again, it'll happen again, and then again, I'm going to push it away. And this is how my life will continue year after year till the end of my life. But it is not so. There is a deeper investigation. And Jiddu Krishnamurti explained this in a very beautiful way. He said that what you're trying to do is you're trying to set your house in order using these tools. For example, meditation. You're using meditation to set your house in order, but it does not work like that. You set your house in order first, and then the meditation will happen. That is the concept. So, what that means is one has to have a deep examination, a deep observation, a total observation into all that is happening in one's life. What is my relationship with people around me? What is my relationship with my ideas, with my thoughts, with my beliefs? What do I think about my identifications, like my religion, like my being a parent or a child or a brother or a sister or an engineer or a doctor or a lawyer or any other profession, an artist? What is my relationship to every single thing that is around me? Until that deep investigation does not happen, this anxiousness will always rise up as a current, and it will create disharmony. It will create chaos. You see, chaos is not happening at the conscious surface of the mind. The chaos is deeper into the unconscious. It just manifests as restlessness, as the chaos on the conscious surface. The problem is that every time I feel restless, my initial instinct is to just push away whatever I am experiencing. Sometimes I try to do it using breath control. Sometimes I try to do it by just quietening my mind and completely isolating myself from everything around me. Other times I use some other tools or some other technology to just distract my mind. For example, I can just scroll a smartphone, or I can watch a movie, or read a book, or listen to a lecture, or anything. But you see, I'm not being totally present with the content of the consciousness. And this creates a divide between consciousness and its content. And that division is fundamentally what is responsible for the chaos. Because I think that I am separate from the chaos. And me being separate from the chaos, I must do something, some activity to distract myself away from that chaos. So every time I'm just cleaning my house, I'm putting all the trash, all the dirt back into the hidden corners under the carpet. I'm not really cleaning the house. All I'm doing is I'm just cleaning a certain portion and, shoving all the dirt, all that is lying around in hidden corners. But you see, that doesn't help, because that content lives in the shadows as chaos, as restlessness, as anxiety, as depression. For total observation to happen, one has to be completely present to whatever is arising. And that is what sets the house in order. That's what brings awareness to the total psyche. And that is what brings forth what we call as meditation. Because in that meditation, there is nobody doing meditation. So actually, tools like japa and meditation are helpful only when your mind is quiet. They happen only when your mind is quiet. So let's say, when you are doing an activity and all of a sudden a thought comes and you feel anxious, you feel restless, what do? You immediately distract your mind. You immediately start performing japa or close your eyes and sit in meditation. But you see, that is just going to have a temporary effect. Yes, in that moment, that thought will leave you. It will just, it will disappear in that moment. But then it will again come up, because you truly have not examined that thought. You truly have not looked at the thought for what it is. You are still avoiding it. You're still trying to work your way around it. And most of the people do this. When I ask them to be still, to be observant of all the content that is arising in consciousness, they say it is too hard. I cannot do it. The I says I cannot do it. He says, I'd rather do some activity. I'd rather sit in meditation and block it out, or do japa and block it out. And yes, that will work. But truly, the meditation is not happening. Mind is being taught a skill to be quiet in certain moments when a certain input arises. That mind is never foolproof. That mind is not a new mind. It's just an old mind, and it's learned the trick. It has learned how to be quiet in those moments when the troubling thought arises. But truly, we've not dealt with this mind, we've not investigated into its nature, we've not seen what it is. So we get caught up. But when we attend to it totally, when we are totally present to it, and sometimes it can be very challenging, but when we are totally in awareness and we allow the content to rise onto any surface of the psyche it wants to, knowing that what you truly are is the indestructible essence that is shining all this content, that is illuminating all this content. So your essence is indestructible, it cannot be hurt, it cannot be destroyed. But when you forget that and identify with the thinking, and you feel that this is something that I must avoid, this is something which should not be there, that is when you create the separation between me and my thoughts. And that is when this me tries to go around it. Let me just bypass this. It says, let me do something, let me do this or that. And every time, there's a hack, but it's not foolproof because it doesn't work all the time. Sometimes you will sit in meditation and you will end up waking up even more restless. Some people cannot even sit and close their eyes. It is not that they are less than you or less than those who know how to meditate. It is just that their mind is not conditioned enough to sit in quietness with the rubbish underneath. So you haven't paid attention to the rubbish. And the moment you pay attention to the rubbish, you realize that it is not really rubbish. Then all the content of consciousness is seen as one with the consciousness. Then it is seen that there is nothing to be fought, to be avoided. There is nothing to be resisted. And whatever is arising is simply grace, beauty, awe, and full of wonder. It is simply to be experienced. And in that experiencing is the total freedom that one seeks, is the total acceptance that one longs for. But when we are fighting, and most of us are fighting our thoughts, we are just increasing the separation between me and the content, thinking that I am separate from it. And hence my house is in disorder. And then I sit in various postures, trying to meditate, trying to quieten the mind, and it doesn't work. I feel that it is helping me. And mind does that. It will convince you that yes, this is helping you. For certain moments, for certain periods, you will feel that you're making progress. That's the illusion mind brings up. Oh, you are making progress. You are going on the right path. But then something happens. Something changes. Life hits you as it hits all of us. And then we realize that we are again in the darkness. The obsessive thinking, rumination, it comes back. We feel anxious, we feel depressed, and we are again looking for solutions. We are again fighting the content, creating separation between me and the content. We are again struggling, but we're not setting our house in order. So, all these beautiful, beautiful practices like meditation, yoga, pranayama, they're amazing. But they truly work, they truly bring the bliss and the joy when the house has already been set in order. They're not used to set the house in order. It is only when you are calm that you will be able to truly know what meditation is. You will be able to enjoy your breathing only when you're calm. The calmness has to come first. If you're using breath control to calm yourself, that is okay, but that is not going to have a permanent effect. You again will find yourself restless because for a moment you have pushed away the content that was creating trouble. So it comes back. And now it comes back with greater intensity, with greater force. And then you say these things do not work. Of course they do not work. Because they are not meant to work. These activities are meant to make the practitioner dissolve. So when you identify, when you address, when you observe, totally observe each and every thought, each and every feeling, your relationship, your life, in totality, you see it for what it is and you get to the root of it. What is the root of every thought? Then thinking is no more a problem. The mind may still run, but then the running of the mind will not be a problem. Rumination will still happen, but it will not be a problem anymore. Because you will be totally present as the unaffected observer of whatever is arising. It does not mean that you will not experience restlessness or anxiousness at all. No, those things will come up in the moment. Everything will come up in the moment. Anxiety, stress, sadness, emotions, sensations, feelings, all content will arise in consciousness. That is the divine play, cannot be avoided. But it will not be a problem because there will be no me to perceive it as right or wrong, good or bad, desirable or undesirable. You are simply present to the content of consciousness as the consciousness. So who is to do what about overthinking? We just create so much load on us because as it is we are thinking so much and then we give our mind another task to quieten itself, which is also continuation of the same thinking. You see? So the fundamental question is, who is trying to quieten the mind? And the moment I ask this question, people get confused. And that is the precise reason why I ask this question, because my question is meant to confuse you. Because until that confusion happens, until that discomfort happens, you will never go inwards into observation. You will always think of some external tool, some external practice to quieten the mind. Because you have made mind into a problem. The mind has made mind into a problem. Otherwise, everything is simply just there as it is meant to be. So, when we give up that resistance to fight what is, that is what sets the house in order. And when the house is in order, meditation happens, japa happens, pranayama happens, yoga happens, union happens. And that is it.